Happy Pride!
Happy Pride!
Happy Pride!
Amazing, amazing. You know, right out of the gate, I want to ask you about YouTube Canada's Pride 2020 Reflections on Identity. And you guys are a part of that. That's pretty cool to be a part of. How does that feel?
YouTube is very good to us. They're really good at around this time honoring their queer allies. And I do think, yeah, like I think the specific video that's in it is the one where we actually talk about like what is like the hardest part about being gay. And so we were just trying to talk about some of those questions that like we often forget about, like especially at this time of year, like actually the challenges of it, especially as queer science communicators. We're in like a little like niche kind of space. So that's what the video is about. We actually filmed it though 2 years ago.
Does everyone have a gay gene?
The controversial answer.
I think that, I mean, there's some interesting kind of discussions around that of even like, you know, should it matter even, right? Because obviously it's pride, human rights. Like if there is a gay gene, is that important to be searching for?
And that information in the wrong hands could be extremely dangerous.
Yeah, but I think we've tried to use our voice to like legitimize not only gay people, but other minorities to show that there are, and this is obviously not that like different groups need our legitimization, but that we want to show that science can uphold the fact that we're all human and that there are reasons people are some ways. There's lots of hypotheses like around being gay. One's called the gay uncle hypothesis that shows that it is actually beneficial for the group to have less males competing in a group. And so that's why like the gay gene, quote unquote, whether or not there is a very specific gene, passes on.
But there's also this thing called epigenetics, which is actually how after DNA has already been transferred or coded, the way the proteins are made can actually change. And what they realize is that women, the more sons that they have, the increased likelihood due to epigenetics that they're going to have a gay son. And they think that literally the reason that this might be biologically and evolutionarily advantageous and created is, because gay people help society.
And by gay gene, we don't mean gay jeans, like tight jeans, like Roswell.
Correct.
No, but what is a gay gene right now? I think we've moved on from skinny. It's more of like a fat pants.
Fat pants are coming back.
I thought it was more of a linen, or is that like old man?
Oh, that's
gay?
true. Yeah, especially this time of year.
I'm wet.
Yeah, it's very hot.
Has what pride means to you, does that change every year? Does it mean something different this year to you?
Yes,
I think so. I think like not only obviously the fact of the pandemic, but obviously like the civil action that's taking course in America, but across the world as well, has changed the perspective of who we should also be acknowledging, like that we should be really aware of our queer, Black, and trans and allies, like, and just Black people in general. Like it's hard to celebrate when there are people in our communities that don't have the same rights, that don't have the same opportunities. And so I think this year in particular, it stands out, but I do think every year Pride takes a different shape and we should always remember the roots that it comes from.
There's a reason we're talking about these things. So like, yes, I think Pride is completely different. And I think it's not a bad thing. It's an amazing opportunity for us all to collectively do activism. That's actually what Pride's about. And we're also in a pandemic, so we can't party anyways. So there you go.
You know, I was watching some older, I guess, interviews that you guys have done. And Mitch, I want to ask you about this. When you guys first, I guess, started dating, you were really hesitant on, you know, being out and proud in public. If you could talk to that Mitch now, what would you say?
I mean, I think I've still had to come a long way, to be honest. Like, obviously we're out and proud now, but I even still have those nervousness reservations of like holding hands in public in spaces that I'm not sure if they're queer friendly. And so, I mean, I definitely would remind myself and tell myself to be confident. There was a long time in the beginning of our relationship where I was much less out than Greg was. And so I think being confident and just trusting that being who you are is the right thing is what I would talk to myself about. But in that same way, I still think there's a ways to go. Like there are lots of spaces where I don't always feel still comfortable. I know I am a much more reserved person than Greg, but I wish that people like me and anyone else who's also nervous and shy could feel walking down any street in even Toronto, an amazingly progressive city, wouldn't have to worry about being called, you know, any kind of name down the street. So as much as I feel there has been so much progress and I feel proud of that, there's always room for more, I think.
I gotta ask you, so one time Madonna said that there is...
I'm so interested where this is gonna go.
I can't look at you while I say this. Okay. So Madonna once said that there is like one person for everyone. Scientifically, I should just ask all my questions to you guys going scientifically.
Yeah.
Scientifically, do you believe that's true?
No. Hey, no, we've done this.
I'm joking.
There's literally math. Oh my god, that's so funny. You actually made me feel so bad. I was like, wait.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so necessarily. I don't know if we can prove it.
No, but the mathematics of love, like there's statistics about how many people.
The odds of finding love in any one population, you can use the same formula that they use to estimate how many intelligent life forms there are in the universe. I won't break it. Yeah, it's like you basically, instead of making one big guess, you cut it down into lots of tiny little guesses by saying like, okay, well, we know there's this many people in the city, this many are the gender identity that I'm looking for, this many have the job I'm looking for, and by using an equation, you can actually break it down to how many people you could be perfectly matched for. So ultimately, yeah, I'm sure there's plenty other Gregs lying around, but I am glad I found this one.
So this Pride, I promise to blank.
This Pride, I promise to be an activist. And yeah.
I'll say this Pride, I promise to educate myself.
It's a hard question to ask, but sometimes I think it needs to be asked. And that is, do you ever wish that you weren't gay?
I think I did when I was younger, and I actually think that's the most empowering thing to eventually, that's when you like truly love yourself, is when you say like, actually, if I was given the magic power to not be gay, I wouldn't even choose to not be gay now, because that has taught me so much about not only who I am and about the world, but about love and having compassion and being aware that other people can be different and still be amazing. And so I think, yeah, I would not.
Yeah, that's true. My instinct was like, of course not. Like, of course I would want to be gay. But then you're right. When you're younger, that can feel like an obvious like answer, especially like when you're really young and figuring out your sexuality. So I would
not just young. Like we were lucky to live in a progressive city. Like there's lots of people who are older who also might feel
like I don't want to minimize that pain, but being out of course, yeah, I'm so happy to be. Oh my god, being straight, like boring. News alert. Every time a straight guy talks to me, I'm like, are you serious? Like are you actually like that? Like that's wild. Okay, that's so boring, and I'll answer your question, but like, where's the door, hon?
How does it make you feel knowing that you guys are role models for people in the LGBT community who may be having a hard time coming out or not okay with coming out, and you are their role models?
Yeah, that means a lot. That's honestly something we've struggled with accepting, just because of like our like even YouTube comments. Like I don't know, for some reason it's hard for us. Whatever, maybe it's because you couldn't see people's faces, but actually that it's the TikTok generation. Like we are a generation above that. So now that we are on TikTok, there's all these young people reaching out to us like, oh my god, I grew up on your videos, or like it was so interesting that you guys were like, it's just like now I think we're starting to almost maybe hear it more because those people have now grown up, or they're just communicating to us through TikTok. But like,
I mean, it's really meaningful. Like even through the years, if we go to events and stuff, like we definitely do get a lot of young queer people coming up and saying like, I felt like I belonged in science, or I went into science because of you guys. And so that does mean a lot. I agree. It's kind of hard to take it in sometimes because you're just like, it's difficult to process what that means. But certainly I'm happy that we could do that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. Happy Pride. I'm a huge fan, and you guys are hilarious, and I can't wait to talk to you guys again.
Thank you so much for being doing that on time.
Yeah, great questions too. That was fun.